Okay, we are looking at Northeast India. Now let's go back to the book. What Henzai read, it would have taken, in my estimate, about 2 minutes to read through that. Now that's not fair because it doesn't cover the whole picture. And in the Northeast itself, there are so many communities, right from Arunachal, even in Assam, even in Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura itself. And all of this, there's a very long history of revolt. So right from 1825, let us say up to 1932, more than 100 years, and actually it should go back beyond that. Ever since the British started administrating or getting some power in the tribal lands, so tribal revolts started all over, let's say from Sadia in Assam, Arunachal, up to the Jaintia Hills, the Khasi Hills, in Manipur, in our own Thado Kuki areas as well, in the Lusai Hills, in the Naga Hills. They had one thing in common is that they were all fighting or revolting against the British. Look at them. And in the book, whatever is there, if I go to every history of this, it will take a long time. That is not the plan. So we will just touch upon them, especially what is written in the book. Let us begin with U. Tirot Singh. Now he was the chief. Dialect is called Siam. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it right. Siam, Siam. He was the chief of Nongklo. He's part of the Khasi Hills. He declared war actually against the British because when they tried to take control of the Khasi Hills. And till now, his death anniversary is celebrated or commemorated in Meghalaya. So quite an important chief. And the story is that at that time the political agent was David Scott. The British were indirectly trying to get their power in the Khasi Hills in the pretext of building a road. And then this was resisted by U. Tirot Singh. And there was actually a confrontation among them. It was quite violent. In fact, 2 British officers also died in that conflict. And once again, as we saw in the case of Mundas and we saw in other tribals, cannot really match the firepower of the British. So here they are just with swords and bows and arrows, and the British, probably this is 1829 already, with the modern weapons available to them. He was eventually captured and he was put in jail. He was not executed by the British. So this was U. Tirot Singh. In the book, they have just put one sentence. It doesn't give you justice. He is known for his freedom struggle against a British agent or David Scott. And till today, his death anniversary is observed in Meghalaya. So let's move on now. The First World War, it was, in a sense, a watershed moment. Watershed means it is a unique moment which defines history. This was the first time World War was taking place all over the world. That's why it's called the First World War. Now this affected Manipur also. During this war, they needed not only soldiers, but they needed lots of labor. And in Manipur also, where the labor corps was recruited. And you could say, in a sense, it is also the beginning of nationalism among all the tribes in Manipur as well. Among the Kukis, among our community, it is very unique because they refused to join the labor corps and rather they declared war in 1917. Now, and it lasted for about 2 years and many people died. If I go into the details, it will take a little long. I don't want to do that. You can research it on your own. So once again, on one side, you have the British armed with the latest weapons available to them. Even automatic rifles had come up at that time. And on one side, you have the Kuki chiefs and the Kuki tribes fighting with, they just had muskets. And there are various engineers, leather cannons. So this lasted for 2 years. And it was only controlled with more than 3,000 British soldiers took part in the hills of Manipur 1917, 18, 1919. Now, for the British side, frankly, it was an embarrassment. They underestimated this tribe in Manipur, and they didn't like to mention it too much. So the Kukis also fought the British, and let's say the Zelingerongs with Rani Gaidanlu and Jadonang also, they also fought the British. Okay. The interesting thing is that when Gaidanlu was arrested, she was only 16 years old and she was sentenced to life imprisonment by the British rulers. The title Rani is given by Jawaharlal Nehru. Now she was in Shillong jail. Jawaharlal Nehru met her there and he gave her the title of Rani Gaidanlu. So as I said, in the history of Northeast India, whether it is the Kukis, the Nagas, the Lusais, whether you find even the tribes of Arunachal, at some point they had been against the British, and tribal areas unfortunately are neglected. Now what needs to be done, and I hope somebody who will understand this and get the message, is schools have to be invested in. People, and especially tribal children, need to be educated. And also tribals are dependent on the forest. Forests have to be managed properly, they have to be preserved. In this case, both government and the tribals and the communities need to understand. Right now, more than ever, the environment is very important. Land, our resources, agriculture is very important. It is basically keeping us alive. We need clean air, we need clean food, we need clean water, and we need clean, healthy agricultural practices. And also the rich heritage or the past of every tribe should be preserved. And there are so many things that even the rest of India or the rest of the world can learn from us. We have so many beautiful and very appropriate tribal customs and practices which continues till now also. Basically, we are a very humble people, very simple people, and we love nature, and we are very much devoted or maybe committed to social equality. We don't have that division of caste and creed and this and that. And as far as possible, we are peace-loving people.